In the annals of ancient Rome, few artifacts carry the mystique of the Sibylline Books, sacred texts said to hold divine prophecies, consulted in times of crisis to guide the fate of the Republic, and later, the Empire. These enigmatic volumes, shrouded in legend, were revered as a direct line to the gods, yet their story ends in flames, leaving behind a tantalizing question. Were they deliberately destroyed to conceal uncomfortable truths foretold within their pages? As we unravel their history, the interplay of politics, religion, and power suggests that the loss of the Sibylline Books might not have been a mere accident, but a calculated act, with echoes that still intrigue us today, hinting at a deeper struggle over knowledge and destiny in a world on the brink of transformation. The tale begins with a legend recorded by Roman historians like Livy and Varro. Around 500 BCE, during the reign of Tarquin the Proud, Rome's last king, a mysterious woman, identified as the Cumaean Sibyl, a prophetess of Apollo, approached the king with an offer. 9 books of prophecies, written in Greek hexameter, for a steep price. When Tarquin balked, she burned 3 books and offered the remaining 6 at the same cost. Refused again, she destroyed 3 more, finally selling the last 3 for the original price. Tarquin, perhaps unnerved by her resolve, purchased them, and thus the Sibylline Books entered Roman law. Housed in the Temple of Jupiter on the Capitoline Hill, these texts were no ordinary scrolls. They were guarded by a select priestly college, initially the Duumviri Sacris Faciendis, later expanded to 15, the Quindecimviri, and consulted only by senatorial decree during dire emergencies such as plagues, military defeats, or strange omens. The Prophecies, cryptic and poetic, reportedly advised rituals, sacrifices, or the adoption of foreign gods to avert disaster. For instance, after a consultation in 399 BCE, the Romans introduced the Lectistinium, a Greek-style feast for the gods, to appease divine wrath during a pestilence. Another consultation in 205 BCE led to the importation of the Black Stone of Magna Mater from Phrygia, a desperate bid to turn the tide against Carthage in the Second Punic War. The original books met a fiery end in 83 BCE, when the Temple of Jupiter burned during the civil war between Sulla and Marius. This destruction, amid Rome's political chaos, was mourned as a catastrophic loss of sacred wisdom. The Senate, determined to restore them, dispatched envoys across the Mediterranean, to Erythrae, Samos, and other oracular sites, to collect substitute prophecies attributed to various Sibyls. These reconstituted texts, stored in the rebuilt temple under Augustus's watchful eye, continued to guide Rome until their final destruction centuries later. That second loss came in 405 CE, under the Christian Emperor Honorius. General Stilicho, a powerful figure in the waning Western Roman Empire, ordered the Sibylline Books burned. This act coincided with the rise of Christianity as the state religion, and the decline of pagan traditions. The official narrative framed it as a purging of heathen superstition, but whispers of a deeper motive persist. Did the books contain predictions that threatened the new Christian order or the fragile empire's stability? The timing, mere years before Alaric's sack of Rome in 410 CE, adds weight to the suspicion that their prophecies might have been too prescient, or too divisive, to endure. The Sibylline Books' contents remain a mystery, as no complete copies survive. Fragments of their influence linger in historical accounts. Livy notes their role in introducing the cult of Magna Mater in 204 BCE to counter Hannibal's advance, but the originals were fiercely guarded, their full text known only to the priestly elite. This secrecy fuels speculation. What did they say that warranted such protection and, later, obliteration? One theory posits that the books foretold Rome's fall. By the 5th century, the Western Empire was crumbling. Visigoths sacked Rome in 410 CE, just 5 years after the book's destruction. Could they have predicted this collapse, casting doubt on the imperial or Christian claim to eternal dominion? The Sibyl of Cumae, linked to the original texts, famously appears in Virgil's Aeneid, guiding Aeneas to the underworld with cryptic warnings. Her prophecies, blending hope and doom, might have mirrored the book's tone, too ambiguous or alarming for a regime desperate to project strength. If they foresaw the barbarian invasions already ravaging the empire's borders, their words could have incited panic or rebellion. Another possibility ties the books to religious upheaval. Early Christians, like Lactantius, co-opted Sibylline-style oracles to argue that pagan prophets had foretold Christ's coming. The Sibylline Oracles, a later Jewish-Christian compilation from the 2nd century BCE to the 4th century CE, blend apocalyptic visions with messianic themes. If the authentic Sibylline books contradicted these narratives, or worse, supported rival deities like Apollo or Cybele, they might have been seen as a theological liability, prompting Stilicho to erase them under Christian pressure. Alternatively, they might have predicted a resurgence of paganism, a threat to the Church's growing dominance after the Edict of Thessalonica in 380 CE declared Christianity the sole religion. The book's destruction can't be divorced from Rome's political landscape. In 83 BCE, their loss amid civil war suggests collateral damage, but it also weakened the Senate's moral authority at a time when rival factions vied for control. The Republic fell to Sulla's dictatorship soon after, and the absence of the books might have eroded a unifying spiritual anchor. The reconstituted books, under tighter state oversight, became tools of legitimacy for leaders like Augustus, who consulted them to sanctify his reign, and moved them to the Temple of Apollo on the Palatine Hill, aligning them with his divine lineage. By 405 CE, Stilicho's act might reflect a power play, eliminating a pagan symbol that could inspire resistance to his regency or Honorius's rule during a time of barbarian incursions and internal dissent. The priestly college itself wielded significant influence, interpreting the book's riddles to shape policy. Their monopoly on divine insight could threaten secular or ecclesiastical power, especially if their readings clashed with official agendas. Burning the books might have been a way to silence an independent voice in a fracturing empire. The quindecimviri, often aristocratic elites, had historically flexed their authority, Sulla himself being a member, making them potential rivals to Stilicho's military dominance, or the Church's spiritual monopoly. The Sibylline books weren't Rome's only brush with prophecy. The Greek oracle of Delphi, consulted by Romans like Cicero, offered similarly cryptic guidance, while Etruscan haruspices read omens in animal entrails. Yet the Sibylline texts stood apart, their written form granting a permanence that oral traditions lacked. This durability might have made them more dangerous. Unlike a spoken oracle, their words could be revisited, reinterpreted, or leaked. Their destruction parallels other purges of knowledge, like the burning of the Library of Alexandria, suggesting a recurring impulse to control narratives in times of crisis. Later Roman writers offer tantalizing hints. Ammianus Marcellinus, a 4th century historian, describes the books as a treasury of fate, consulted even as Christianity rose. The poet Rutilius Nemasianus, writing after their loss, laments the decline of Rome's sacred traditions, subtly linking it to their absence. Meanwhile, the Historia Augusta claims the books predicted civil strife, though its reliability is debated. These snippets suggest the book's reputation endured, even as their physical presence faded. Were the Sibylline books destroyed to hide prophetic truths? The evidence is circumstantial, steeped in the biases of ancient chroniclers like Tacitus, who distrusted oracles, and Christian writers like Augustine, who dismissed them as frauds. Yet the pattern of their restricted access, repeated destruction, and the timing of their final loss invites suspicion. Did they foretell inconvenient fates such as Rome's decline, a rival faith's triumph, or cosmic upheavals that leaders feared might destabilize their grip? Or were they simply relics of a fading world, sacrificed to hasten a new era? The truth, like the books themselves, has turned to ash. What remains is a haunting possibility that these ancient prophecies held insights too potent, too disruptive, to survive the hands that claimed to protect them. In their absence, we're left to wonder: did Rome burn its own future to safeguard its present, or were the Sibylline books merely casualties of a world too tumultuous to preserve its sacred past? Their silence speaks louder than their lost words ever could. Thank you for watching. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content on ancient mysteries, spirituality, and self-development.